The year 476 AD marks a pivotal moment in history, the fall of the Western Roman Empire. This once mighty empire, stretching from the British Isles to the Middle East, crumbled under its own weight. Years of internal strife, economic instability, and relentless barbarian invasions had weakened its foundations. As the last Roman emperor in the West, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed, Europe was plunged into a period of uncertainty and transformation. This period, spanning roughly from the 5th to the 15th centuries, is what we call the Middle Ages. Contrary to popular belief, the Middle Ages were not a stagnant, dark period. It was an era of immense change, cultural blending, and the birth of new societal structures. Out of the ashes of the Roman Empire rose a new Europe, one shaped by feudalism, Christianity, and the enduring spirit of its people. Without a central authority, local lords and nobles emerged, vying for control. This paved the way for the development of feudalism, a new social and political order that would define the medieval world. Join me as we journey back in time to uncover the realities of this often misunderstood era. Feudalism emerged as the dominant social system in medieval Europe. It was a hierarchical structure based on land ownership and loyalty. The king granted land, known as fiefs, to nobles in exchange for military service. Nobles granted land to knights who pledged allegiance and fought for them. Peasants, the majority, worked the land and paid rent and taxes. They toiled in the fields subject to their lord's demands. Feudalism provided stability and order in a fragmented time. It shaped medieval society, dictating roles and relationships. Life was harsh, especially for peasants, but it fostered community. Lords protected their vassals and provided justice. The feudal system provided the framework for medieval society. The 14th century brought an unprecedented catastrophe, the Black Death. This pandemic, likely caused by the bubonic plague, swept across Europe with terrifying speed. Cities became ghost towns and entire communities were decimated. The Black Death had a profound impact on medieval society. It led to widespread fear and panic. The death toll was staggering, wiping out 1/3 to 1/2 of Europe's population. The social and economic consequences were devastating. Many saw it as God's punishment, leading to increased religious fervor. Others questioned their faith, grappling with the randomness of death. The massive loss of life led to a labor shortage, giving peasants more bargaining power. It challenged the rigid social hierarchy of feudalism. The Black Death, though horrific, contributed to the transformation of medieval society. It hastened the decline of feudalism and fostered social mobility. In the tumultuous world of the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church stood as a pillar of stability and authority. It provided spiritual guidance, dispensed justice, offered education, and played a significant role in people's daily lives. From birth to death, the Church was an ever-present force, shaping beliefs, values, and social norms. Monasteries scattered across the countryside became centers of learning and preserved classical knowledge. The Church also wielded significant political power, with popes often challenging the authority of kings and emperors. The great cathedrals that rose in medieval cities served not only as places of worship, but also as symbols of the Church's wealth and influence. The Church's teachings offered solace and hope in a world fraught with hardship and uncertainty. The promise of salvation and the afterlife provided comfort to people facing disease, poverty, and war. Despite its flaws and corruption, the Church remained a central force in medieval society, shaping the spiritual, intellectual, and political landscape of the era. Its influence touched every aspect of people's lives, from their understanding of the universe to their relationships with each other and their rulers. Section 5. Towns and guilds, seeds of change. As the Middle Ages progressed, a new phenomenon began to reshape the social and economic landscape: the growth of towns. These centers of commerce and trade, often strategically located along rivers or trade routes, offered new opportunities and challenged the dominance of the feudal system. With the rise of towns came the emergence of guilds. These associations of craftsmen and merchants organized by trade played a crucial role in regulating production, setting standards, and protecting the interests of their members. Guilds provided a framework for training apprentices, ensuring quality control and creating a sense of community among artisans. The growth of towns and guilds had a profound impact on medieval society. They fostered economic growth, led to new innovations in manufacturing and trade, and contributed to the rise of a new social class, the merchant class. Towns became hubs of intellectual and cultural exchange, attracting scholars, artists, and writers. The emergence of towns and guilds marked a turning point in medieval history, signaling the gradual shift from a predominantly rural agrarian society to a more urbanized and commercially driven one. Section 6. Daily life. Challenges and triumphs. Daily life in the Middle Ages was often harsh and unforgiving. The vast majority of people toiled in the fields, their lives dictated by the rhythms of nature and the demands of their feudal lords. Food was often scarce, housing was basic, and disease was rampant. Life expectancy was short and infant mortality was high. For peasants, work was physically demanding and never-ending. They ploughed fields with crude tools, harvested crops by hand, and tended to livestock. Women worked alongside men, also taking care of household chores, spinning wool and brewing ale. Despite the hardships, medieval people found moments of joy and celebration. Religious festivals provided a welcome respite from the daily grind, offering opportunities for feasting, dancing, and socializing. Traveling entertainers brought music, stories, and laughter to villages, while local taverns provided a place for people to gather, share news, and escape the drudgery of their daily lives. Life in medieval towns, while offering more opportunities, also presented unique challenges. To Section 7, Advancements and Innovations, Seeds of Progress. Despite the challenges they faced, medieval people were not without ingenuity. Necessity often bred invention, and this era saw significant advancements in various fields, laying the groundwork for future progress. In agriculture, the introduction of the heavy plough and the three-field crop rotation system led to increased food production, supporting a growing population. The development of watermills and windmills provided new sources of power, revolutionizing various industries, from grinding grain to powering sawmills. In architecture, the construction of magnificent Gothic cathedrals showcased the engineering skills and artistic brilliance of medieval craftsmen. The invention of the printing press in the 15th century, though often associated with the Renaissance, had its roots in medieval technology. This revolutionary invention would transform the dissemination of knowledge, paving the way for the Reformation and the scientific revolution. The Middle Ages, often viewed through the lens of its challenges, also witnessed remarkable advancements that planted the seeds for future progress. Section 8. The legacy of the Middle Ages shaping the modern world. The Middle Ages, though long gone, continue to cast a long shadow on the present. The institutions, ideas, and innovations that emerged during this era profoundly shaped the course of Western civilization. The development of universities, which had their roots in medieval cathedral schools, laid the foundation for modern education. The legal systems of many countries, including England and the United States, have their origins in medieval common law. The concepts of individual rights, representative government, and the rule of law, though refined over centuries, have their roots in medieval thought. The art, literature, and architecture of the Middle Ages continue to inspire and captivate us. The Middle Ages, far from being a forgotten chapter in history, provided the building blocks for the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the Enlightenment. Understanding the Middle Ages is essential for understanding the trajectory of Western civilization and appreciating the complex tapestry of our shared human history. Section 9. Conclusion, Resilience and Evolution. The Middle Ages, spanning over 1,000 years, was a period of immense change and transformation. From the fall of the Roman Empire to the dawn of the Renaissance, Europe underwent a remarkable metamorphosis. Despite facing disease, war, and social upheaval, medieval people demonstrated remarkable resilience. They adapted to changing circumstances, forged new ways of life, and laid the foundation for a new era. The Middle Ages remind us that history is not a linear progression, but rather a complex tapestry of continuity and change. The universities, the Gothic cathedrals, the literature, and the innovations of this era laid the groundwork for the cultural and intellectual flourishing that followed. The Middle Ages were far from a dark age. By understanding the challenges, triumphs, and innovations of this era, we gain a deeper appreciation for our own history and a better understanding of the forces that have shaped the world we live in today.